Everyone, I'm finally here. I'm sorry. The whole thing for the editing process and having 2 jobs is a pain in my butt right now. It's kind of ruining my groove up on YouTube, but this is a later update for the rest of the video. Be prepared. That's all I have to say. Enjoy the video. Okay, so college. And to be more specific, College of the Arts. I know a lot of people get into this debate, and they always do, and it just seems like every time is complete chaos to talk about it. People are just a little bit not sure, or people that want to research and they don't get that much research involving the internet. I don't blame you. I used to be in your shoes, and you used to be in mine for like professionals that are watching this right now. This is my take of going to college for the arts. And honestly, this can be for any college. If you're going for art history, this is also probably the same goal, but like a different feat. But I'm just mostly talking about the fine arts, creating art. For all of you that don't know, I went to college, and it was a private art college. I thought those best 4 years of my life were a little bit conflicting. It was a roller coaster, and wants to say, because the start of 2020, that chaos for my private school. Not only did they have to worry about other things, but they also had to worry about people in the fine art department that really needed models, people that were going to do for internships, because that was really a requirement for our college, and just being involved in the community, because those things were restricted, and various other things. And I feel bad for people that didn't get the graduation that they needed for high school, for college, for whatever kind of big event that was for you in 2020. I totally apologize. We cannot help that happened at all. Before I go into a tangent, I'm going to be talking about the cons of going to College of Art, just so we can get the bad stuff out of the way. And I'm not going to be dissing on my school, and I don't want to be dissing on any other people that are encouraged to going to art school. My take on it is that it's uber expensive. For my college, at least, it was very expensive to be buying supplies. I feel like I shouldn't really be buying supplies. I get it. I paid for my college, but I really shouldn't be paying for the supplies. If I'm going to be experimenting with other things that if I do or don't want to do. I get it, with programs, the school has to provide it, and I think that's okay. For the people that don't provide materials such as sketchboards, notepads, or any kind of material of charcoal, we never had a program like that. There were other students that were selling their old stuff, and that would be very profitable. And I think it would very much work for not only the upperclassmen, but the lowerclassmen. My point taken on most of it, if you cannot deal with the pressure. People my age, which was probably around in their 20s, they did not realize how much pressure is involved in this industry. I realized when I was in a younger stage of my life in freshman year that they are going to take this very seriously. And I'm glad I figured that out in the way beginning, because most of the people that I went with did not care, had no motivation, and were easily burnt out. Not to say that everyone was like this. Some had to survive and conquer. Others had to conquest and devour. Some were perfect prodigies and then turned into a pile of I'm normal. Or for my experience, I was pretty much low par when it came to art. I was surprised I even got into the art school in the first place. With my portfolio and everything, it was bad. So bad, as a matter of fact, that I kind of felt bad for myself. I felt like I needed to self-doubt myself, and I felt like I needed to give up. But then it hit me, and it made me realize, why am I giving up on something I love? Why am I hating it? Am I just hating it because I don't understand? Or am I just hating it because it's not how I do it? And I stopped doing how I wanted to do it ever since. Because how I want to do it, they basically were like, realism. And I was like, no. But I kind of studied it anyway. And don't get me wrong, realism is important. But I think what's really important when it comes to art, especially the department I'm into, is structures. Structures, lines of curves, expressions, how timing works. Basically, the principles of animation. You know, making stuff look good. And the last con, I'm going to keep that as the last, is definitely by far, very much by far, one is experience. Don't get me wrong. It was a really good experience. But did I have to be forced to do free participation thing in the very beginning? Yeah. Was I also forced into many small other meetings that my class honestly probably shouldn't have not had amount of time with? Yes. It didn't matter if I needed to connect or network with those groups over the weekend. That didn't matter to me. That was never the problem. It was just, they had small meet and greet sessions with the artists that came around to that school, or at least encourage people to go check out the stuff for the gallery and everything. And I'm not gonna lie, that's perfect networking. I get it. I totally get it. But for my department, we kind of rarely never had that. Most of them were either online due to the 2020 thing, or they were people that we were so, I don't want to say not really close to us, because they didn't have no idea where we were in the first place. And many people have no idea that we even were like a small group, or where our classes were. And plus, I think it was just my kind of school, but our communications was subpar. A little bit rough, note to say. And I don't want that to be a problem for the future of that college. This college is actually well perfect. It's small, it's a community, and it has great structure. And it has great people teaching these fantastic students right now. But otherwise, I never saw any good communication when it came to good times, with clubs, or with anything other than that. You would get updates, but you would get updates for bigger events. And socializing is not really something that I like doing in a big crowd, especially with big events. So if I wanted to really reconnect or network, I want it to be on a small space. And some of those things that were in small spaces were never gotten told by anyone. Alright, now that the cons are out of the way, I'm going to say right now, I deeply apologize about those cons. Not every school's perfect, and not every school is going to have the perfection that every student wants. But we're going to talk about the pros. Pros of going to an art school. I think it was worth it. Meeting professors, meeting people that I knew, connecting with other students that were partially my favorite type of people in the world. Go AGA! But other than that, these were cool people. This was a small group, and I always was very much happy when somebody would walk with me to go home, or walk with me to go to school. Oh my god, did I just say school? Ooh. Or walk with me to college, which was not really a long walk, a walk that we can talk and just enjoy. There were certain times where I wish we had more of that connection, and I wish I was more sociable with my best friends, and I wish I just didn't meet them for an event, and I just wish that I met them more when I was outside of my apartment. Alright, so another pro, I like to keep this one on here. This is where you start your portfolio. For me, I started my portfolio in the beginning, but then when I got really, angsty about 2020, I relied on no internet whatsoever, but I felt lonely. So that's when I did Instagram. That's when I did my whole art account. That's when I did my Twitter. And that's kind of when I was experimenting a little bit on TikTok, but it really wasn't my favorite. Never been my favorite. But otherwise, this made me socialize outside online. This made me socialize, to show my art and to be proud of it and not so a Debbie Downer on not showing my art or any kind of that nature. This made me open up a little bit more, especially when times were rough. And I'm not going to lie, you have to keep on working on that portfolio. It doesn't matter if you are bored or if you are tired. I would take those times to just draw a bit. Honestly, if you're having a burnout, don't blame you. There's a lot of tips to that as well on here. Or even just a matter of fact, it's okay to have breaks, but it's also okay to be drawing whenever you want to. I'm not gonna lie, my parents don't realize this. They don't realize every time I draw, I make more stuff for my portfolio. And it seems like every time I do draw, it just seems like I love it really much more. And it makes me realize that I'm a little bit more structure-like for my characters than I am for my real works. I promise I do real works, I swear. And my pros, experimenting. In my school, we experimented a lot of things. I was pretty good at photography to certain points. I also was doing some voice acting, and that was pretty cool too, I'm not gonna lie, even though that was in one class session. But other words, I found better things that I know what I can do with for different materials. I knew how to paint walls for a mural that I did earlier on. If you want to see that, check out my Instagram. Well, I don't know. Well, I might have to post that one. Not gonna lie. I only probably send those to my story. Even though I didn't take a necessary post of that. I should do that for my art account. But here it is where I took a picture of the finish touches of the wall. That's how I knew how to paint the wall for the mural. And plus they wanted a really kid-friendly room. And that's what they got. That's how I know to paint walls. That's how I know to paint on acrylic. That's how I know how to paint in certain watercolors, graphite, charcoal, honestly anything to deal with drawing, to deal with painting. Done a lot of advertisements in my life. I don't know why I took those classes. I thought it would be a good idea if I was very independent, that I should know how to do business. So that's why I took those classes. And it's very nice to just be networking around different classes, figuring out what you want to do. I took a lot of educational stuff. For instance, I took a lot of art history classes because I thought it was appropriate, even though I wasn't good at it. I'm sorry I used so many run-ons. Note to self, I wasn't really good at writing, per se, but here I am with a somewhat bullet point of the whole script, technically. Even though I did a lot of writing throughout my years, I thought it was very useful and it was very helpful. It was a perfect bachelor degree experience. And for my last pro, I'm going to say it right now, and I'm going to say it here and now. People love seeing that you got connections to one place to another. And I know I said that before with communications, with talking to other people, but honestly, it was local communication. But when it goes to outer aspects of going into the bigger industry, it's a great peak. Now, for my real last pro tip to going to College of Art is the main factor. It brings a lot of memories, and it makes you realize what kind of experience you want to be in. Not gonna lie, I had no idea what animation and game art would do for me. I had no idea what illustration would even be. And I could not imagine how anyone could do fine art in this day and age. So I tip my hats to all the artists out there that went to school. I know it's very hard right now to get into those fields. It's a small community of not only animators, but also artists out there in the world. So don't be hateful of those inner groups. Just be thankful that you are who you are and what you want to be. And hopefully one day somebody will see you as who you are, a good person that wants to do art and is not somebody that they will not have to be so mad at you. about, because that's what a big, small community should be. We should rely on each other. We should support each other. And we should even appreciate each other. And it's a small group, and we have a lot of tasks to even do. No matter how many time managing projects we ever got into, or even the fact that we all were up late at night because we all made mistakes and we all had to make that one project come out and be done the next day. Peer pressure moment of staying up late until you finally get it done and you fall asleep and then you're suffering in the morning. I wouldn't recommend that to anyone, but you know what I mean. We get it. We understand it. And I appreciate everybody that is listening to this whole message today. I hope everyone has a good day. And drink your water. Drink it now! If you guys love this video, leave a like, subscribe, give me a comment. Anything you want me to talk about? I have an Instagram and a Twitter. As you know, all know now, I have a TikTok. I'm not really active on there, but it still works. And I'll see you all later. Peeps, stay chill.